The North American 5K Team Championship is a unique competition pitting teams from Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. in a cross-country low-score format for North American road bragging rights. In year one, Mexico won both individual titles to secure team honors. Last year, America's consistency earned them the team victory, though Mexico again won the men's race and Canada the women's. Who will emerge in 2004? We find out next on Fox Sports Net. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Revis, along with Steve Scott. Welcome to the 16th Arturo Barrios Invitational. Steve, this is the third version of the North American 5K Challenge. United States, Mexico, and Canada. U.S. the defending champion. Mexico won 2 years ago. Is this Canada's year? And if so, what do they have to do to ensure that victory?
Well, you know, Tony, I think Canada has all the tools today to take the event. They've got their returning champion, Emily Mondor, and her teammate, Melinda Elmore, is going to be her biggest competition. So they have the chance to go 1-2. The key for Canada is going to be on the men's side. Historically, this race is a kicker's race, won in around 14 minutes. Ryan McKenzie is a sub-4-minute miler, ran 13:39 earlier this year, and all he has to do is place, and it doesn't matter where the second Canadian runner comes in, they will win the event.
Well, the United States is hungry for their second victory, and the Mexicans have the biggest contingent of fans here in Chula Vista, California. We'll see how it runs out. We have 5 Olympians in today's field. 2 Canadian women, the defending men's champion, Alejandro Suarez from Mexico, plus one of their women, and 1 American, Jonathan Riley, wearing number 1. Their coach, Glenn Latimer, handicaps the field.
Canadian women are obviously very, very strong, and they could go 1-2, which really changes the complexion. You know, if you've got 4 or 5 runners counting, that makes a difference. When it's only 2, then that's sort of half the way to a victory, so it depends on what the Canadian men do. We've got a very good, solid men's team, and our women's team isn't as strong as last year, so if the Canadians beat up on each other and we can get a couple of ladies up there in sort of 3rd, 4th, 5th, then my best count is we could get a tie on an optimal situation.
Boy, I hope that wasn't the speech he gave his athletes before the race started. Boy, that'll really cheer him up. But the one thing that he's not bringing into the equation is the fact that these athletes are putting on the USA uniform. And when you put on a USA uniform running at home, that inspires you. And, you know, in this situation, anything can happen.
Chula Vista, California, actually a border town just 2 miles north of Tijuana, Mexico. So we said, as in the open, there are more Mexican fans here in town around this course than probably American fans. 2 3/4 loops around Chula Vista Harbor. That constitutes this course as the Canadians go out to a very quick start.
And, you know, having that hometown advantage is going to help Mexico because the fans are going to be cheering for them. They know who these runners are. They know their names. They're going to be calling out their names, and that certainly helps.
We have high school cheer squads on the harbor side of the course, what we call the back side of the course, and then all the people who ran the People's 5K and 10K as part of the 16th annual Arturo Barrios Invitational earlier today will line that home stretch, and that's where all the cheering will really be heavy. Well, there's Emily Mondor leading the women's race already by a big margin. She's almost in no man's land on the back of the men's pack.
Emily Mondor is a student at Simon Fraser University and is the course record holder at the time of 15:23. She's also the co-national record holder, tied with Lynn Williams with the time of 15:19.
Here she is in last year's competition, and we asked her what the pressure on the Canadian team is today.
Canada need to just run decent. I think we have a very good team. We got a solid athletes, very strong women. If our men's they're upcomers, but I think they have a lot also of experience and they can very battle with the other team. So we just need to put all together, and I think we can win.
It's not about an individual competition, but it's always about that at some level. You're in fine form. What is your personal goal today?
Personal goal will just obviously run my best, but I always like to improve what I did last year. I did the record last year, so if I could improve it this year, that would be a great honor for me.
Well, she is off and running very early, pressing hard. That's her style. Alejandro Suarez has now gone to the front, Steve, on the men's side, and the Mexicans are well bunched up in front. Last weekend in Akron, Ohio, at the North American Relay Championships for men, Mexico beat the United States and Canada. It's the marathon distance with 5 legs being run, and all 3 of our Mexican men today were on that winning squad.
The difference is this is just a 5K. When you have the varying distance between 5K, 10K, and beyond, it changes the complexion of the race a little bit. 5K, you're getting a lot of milers in this race, guys that have good finishing speed, and Alejandro knows that. He knows that there's some sub-4-minute milers in the race, and he's got to distance himself from those runners or take the kick out of them early on. And he is setting a pretty good pace here.
Well, the Mexican men have won both individual titles, Mexico and then Canada's Mondor, the women's individual titles. But the Americans won last year as a team with consistent finishes for both their men and women. Is that their only hope in 04?
It is, Tony. They don't have a chance to win the individual title for both the men, either the men or the women. Their only chance is to get a third and a fourth, a second and a fourth on both the men's and women's side to win this event. And that might not be enough if Canada runs up to what they're capable of.
Amy Mortimer leads the American squad in the chase pack. And we'll have more from Chula Vista, California right after this break on Fox Sports Net. And festivities.
You know, talking about the weather, Tony, these are actually perfect running conditions. Unlike last year when they had all the fires and the air was so bad. Perfect, cool, crisp, clear, very little wind. Great running weather.
We've entered our first lap, and the Mexican team, all 3, have stormed to the front. Reid Coolsaet of Canada in 4th. Chad Johnson, the top American, in 5th.
Now you look at this and you think, wow, the Mexicans have a great chance of winning this event. Unfortunately, the Mexican women are not holding up their end. One of them is way behind in back, and the other 2 are not running up to where they need to be.
It really does come down to the Canadian men, and Coolsaet ran his personal best on the track, 13 minutes, 31 seconds. This year over in Belgium this summer. So he's fresh off a top international season. It should give him confidence. Same thing with Mondor. She made her breakthrough at the international level 2 years ago, getting 2nd place in the individual competition here in Chula Vista. She came back and won it in a course record last year and has been Canada's best distance runner since.
Now, as a coach, it looks to me like the Canadians had a race plan going in. Emily went and took off and is stealing the race. Lindy Elmore is controlling that following pack. She knows all she has to do is be able to kick with that pack and hopefully come in 2nd place, and Canada has a pretty good shot at winning.
Mondor passes mile 1 in 4 minutes 55 seconds on course record pace. There's Elmore, more of a 1,500-meter runner. She was on the Olympic team at 1,500 meters. Right with her, Amy Mortimer, Angelica Sanchez, an Olympic marathoner from Mexico, and Colette Liss, who was 4th in the U.S. outdoor 1,500 meters this year.
Now, as the men made their U-turn around, they could see how the Canadian women were doing, and it puts pressure on them. But Reid Coolsaet is holding up his part of the bargain for the Canadian team. He's going to break up this Mexican trio.
Well, all 3 of the Canadian men hail from Ontario, know each other very well, and their coach, Marek Jedrzejczyk, has a lot of confidence.
I think how our men's team is going to do will be the key to our victory. If they're going to do very well, then we're going to win. But they're very talented young runners, like Ryan McKenzie or Reid Coolsaet, and we have Andrew Smith here too. But they're young, they have very good times in their 5K, but what they're still lacking is international experience, what they'll be getting here as well. So if they run very well, I think our chances are looking pretty good.
Reid Coolsaet is already running well. The question is McKenzie or Andrew Smith going to come to the fore? And I'm a little surprised by Jonathan Riley's disappearance in that lead pack. He's the American Olympian.
Well, again, Tony, it depends upon what he's been doing since the Olympics. He had a long season, ran a full season, indoors, outdoors, Olympic trials, Olympics during the summer, and you got to be pretty worn out by this point.
Well, the Mexican men actually have their national championships in a week's time from this, so you would think they'd be a little bit more on their game.
Now, all the pressure on the Canadian team lies on the shoulders of Ryan McKenzie. Right now, he's in 5th place from Canada. If he holds this position, the women get 1-2. Reid Coolsaet gets fourth. The Canadians have it wrapped up.
Well, the lead has been traded off between Alejandro Suarez, number 14, his teammate Rafael Sanchez, number 16, and behind Armando Torres, number 15, throughout. They've established a fast pace. They went through under 4:30 for the first mile, which is faster than last year's time. A 4:30 average is 14 minutes flat for 5,000 meters. The course record is 13:47, set in the inaugural North American 5K Championship in 2002. Emily Mondor continues to streak ahead of the women's field, just building her lead with every step. Angelica Sanchez of Mexico has fallen off to 5th place. Amy Mortimer and Colette Liss battle against Melindy Elmore from Canada. Colette Liss, more of a 1,500-meter runner, but training base this time of year.
Yeah, this is more what my training is geared towards at this time, and hopefully if it comes down to any last minute kick, I'll be able to put something out there. Because it is team scoring, you know, every person that we can get in front of counts. So we're going to work together and just try and beat as many people as we can.
Again, it's low score winning. About halfway through, Steve, where do we stand?
Canada in the lead with 12 points. Mexico surprisingly in second with 14. U.S. trailing with 20 points.
We'll see if they can pick it up when we return on Fox Sports Net. American 5K Team Championship. Right now, number 16, Rafael Sanchez leads the way. His teammate and defending men's champion, Alejandro Suarez, in second, with Reid Coolsaet from Canada doing a great job trying to bring his Canadian team up to that top step of the podium this year for the first time.
Coolsaet just clipped Sanchez's heels. Sanchez looked over, said something to him in Spanish. Hopefully Reid doesn't understand.
You know, one of the things about the Canadian men is their lack of international experience, but that's a pretty savvy international move, clipping the heels of your competitors and getting them angry.
Good for him.
Well, you can see all the high school cheer squads. There are 7 of them on the backside of this course, and glad to have them as part of the spirit on the course. Now, for the first time, Coolsaet from Canada goes into the lead. And this is significant. Well, now back in second place. But, you know, in a 5K race, Steve, once you establish your position, for the most part, you really don't die that much. And you pretty much establish yourself, and that's where you are. So it comes down to who's got the kick.
At this point, the race is pretty much determined. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of movement one way or another. We may lose one spot, possibly 2, but that's about it.
Men at the 2-mile mark in 9 minutes flat. That's 14-minute 5K pace. There's Arturo Barrios, our race namesake, who gives us an update as to his coaching with the U.S. Army team.
I'm still coaching with the Army. You know, right now we have a break, about 6 months break. The program is going to continue. It's going to start in February, March of 2005. We only have about, 6 to 8 people. You know, it's a small group, but these people are very fast, professional runners, anything from 1,500, 5K, 10K, and marathon. 75% of the runners made it to the Olympic trials, which is a big accomplishment. Hopefully in the next 4 years, somebody will make it to the Olympic team. But everybody qualify, everybody run a PR. They keep improving, so everybody's happy.
Emily Mondor continues to stretch her lead on the women's side. Now Melindy Elmore and Amy Mortimer have begun to sneak away a little bit from Colette Liss, and this is just more insurance for the Canadians.
The score at this point, Tony, hasn't changed on the Canadian side. They're still in the lead with 12 points, but the U.S. has picked up a point on Mexico. We're now at 19 points, Mexico at 15. Surprisingly, who's letting down the American team are the men. They currently are in 5th and 7th place, which is not going to get it done with this competition.
Suarez, Torres, Sanchez, the 3 Mexican amigos across the front. Reid Coolsaet from Canada right with them. Mexican men wanted to go 1, 2, 3 in the competition. That is their goal. Coolsaet knows he has to stay close.
We're really looking just if we can stay even, maybe get a point up, point back. We can just kind of scratch with the rest of the men. We're hoping our girls can pull more than their weight, and that'll be a good way to take the title. So yeah, just basically just staying up there with the rest of the guys and not really letting too much go.
You know, the great thing about this event, Tony, is that time is meaningless. It doesn't matter what the race is won in. It's all about how you score. And when you have your country's jersey on, you are now representing your country, and you are going to run much harder than you would if it was for yourself.
We're on the last lap of the competition now. And we've been well established on the men's side. What we don't know is how the American men are doing in 5th and 7th place. They've got to move up a couple of it. There's pretty big gaps back there after our top 4. And the pace is just going to pick up from this point to the finish line as we're down to 1 kilometer to go, and you can already see that one of the Mexican men, I think that's Armando Torres, has begun to fall off this pace, and we're down to 3. So Coolsaet continues to get the job done. The North American 5K Team Championship is brought to you by the City of Chula Vista, by Goodrich, sponsors of the 2004 Goodrich Corporate Cup, and by Eastlake. Welcome to the neighborhood. Along Chula Vista Harbor for the 16th Arturo Barrios Invitational. A People's 5 and 10K race preceded the North American 5K Team Championship, which enters its final stages, with defending champion Alejandro Suarez leading the way. Rafael Sanchez, his teammate, in 2nd, and Reid Coolsaet from Canada hanging tough in 3rd.
Like I said in the beginning, Reid Coolsaet is holding on to 3rd place. All he had to do was place, with the Canadian women getting 1st and 2nd, and they have this thing wrapped up. Doesn't matter where the second Canadian finishes.
Place is 2nd, show is 3rd. Win, place, and show. What you
Shows
mean?
how much I go to the races.
You're not a Del Mar attendant. But the Mexicans have now begun to pull away, so that means they've got 3 points for their men. Canada has 3+ on its men's side and 3, we think, on the women's side. So it's almost impossible for the Americans to make up that gap as we find out which one of the Mexican stars is going to take the crowd. And now Alejandro Suarez streaks to the front. He's really a puller. He's not much of a sprinter, but he can generate great speed. Look at the way his style is sitting down on that stride. 13.5 in the course record set 2 years ago by Teodoro Vega. That doesn't look like it's going to get beat. But last year's time is 13:56 unofficially for Alejandro Suarez.
And you know what? The crowd doesn't care what team wins this race. They were thrilled that a Mexican runner won the race individually.
That was Torres coming home in 4th place from Mexico. Jonathan Riley, the first American, in 5th. Ryan McKenzie in 6th. That gives them 3rd and 6th for 9 points. Their women are 1, 2 at this time as we look at our men's results. Again, U.S. with Jonathan Riley in 5th place as the first American. There's the letdown because he's got a 13:21 personal best, an Olympian, but wrong time of the season for him to be at his best.
And the Canadian women, Melindy Elmore, has held up her part as well as Emily Mondor in 1st. So the Canadian women will come in 1st and 2nd, which seals the victory for Canada.
Elmore's been making great strides since graduating in 2003 from Stanford, but Emily Mondor from Quebec, training in British Columbia, is going to win her 2nd straight
Look at this
North
time,
American
Tony. Look at this.
5K Championship, and she's going to snap the course and national record in the process. 15:16 for the great Emily Mondor.
She got every goal she wanted today. Got the national record, get the course record, and won the race individually. What a day.
Well, she's got almost a 30-second margin on Melindy Elmore in 2nd place. And Elmore, again, owns the Stanford records for 800 and 1,500 meters, which were once owned by Regina Jacobs. But now Melindy Elmore takes 2nd in Chula Vista, the North American 5K Team Championship. Holding on for that 2nd position, Colette Liss from Indianapolis in the United States in 3rd. Amy Mortimer in 4th. Those 3 had a very good competition, and you can see that gap is Angelica Sanchez. You know, she was a marathon runner for the Mexican Olympic team, and it's a hard thing to come back from a 2:46 Olympic marathon in Athens to a flat, fast 5K in Chula Vista, California.
Final team results, Canada winning with 12 points. That's the lowest total in the history of this event. Mexico coming off of a strong performance by their men come in second, and the U.S. won last year, third this year.
Well, the happy Canadian squad. Let's go down and talk to our women's champion.
Yeah, for me, that's just a reward. I train, I'm very focused on what I'm doing, and everyone who knows me know that I put really and invest a lot on that. This summer, I didn't have my greatest summer ever, even though I was first of the America continent at the Olympic, but I learned, and for me, that's an honor to represent my country here, and the North American Championship is a great race, and I told my teammate from Canada, I said, you know what? Be proud of what you're doing. That's a good meet, and that's a good visibility for us.
Congratulations, Hope. Look forward to seeing you again next year.
I will be there for sure. Thanks a lot.
A lot of prize money was also distributed today, $25,000 total, $21,000 divided amongst the teams, and $4,000 went to the individuals.
As the next generation lines up behind us at the Fiesta Kids Run, Steve, we go back and look at the results, and Mexico won the first year, United States the second year, but Canada ran away with it this year, and it sort of underscores the role, the often overlooked role of the federations in this sport.
Canada definitely brought their A team today, and that's what it's all about. You got to bring your athletes who are in shape, who have been running well recently, not years ago. And that's precisely what Canada did here today.
We knew Mondor and Melindy Elmore were going to be the forces in the women's side, but their men are the ones that really stepped it up. So now it's 1-1-1 for all three of the North American countries. We'll see what happens next year. So for Steve Scott, I'm Tony Revis. Thanks for joining us at Chula Vista. We'll see you next time out on the roads.